look like a union man?
An extra large?
Can I just keep signing?
Just one.
I can make up about 800 different.
You got a medium. Yeah.
2 X's there.
Medium and medium.
Would you like a shirt?
Pardon?
Would you like to have a shirt?
Yeah.
What size?
I'll take a large, please.
Extra large, that's my size.
Hats are all one size.
Yeah, you know, you can. We have lots of stickers. For who, ma'am?
For my sister.
Is she here? No. Did she sign in?
Here's the stickers for you.
Is that okay? Alrighty.
Got large here.
And some stickers for you.
Okay.
Stickers for you. Okay.
Sticker book.
Do you have 2X? I do.
It's right here.
Okay, can I get you to sign in if you're a supporter? And also, would you,
What size did you like? That's the one you already signed.
well, she okay, I've already signed it.
Oh, they were.
Would you like to sign
What am I signing for?
that you support the casino? It's right here.
Bobby? Guys over here, good to see you.
And we got pizza further in on the road. Yeah, go get a seat. Hats. We got
Excuse me, please. Good, how you doing?
yeah.
Right in front of you.
Thank you.
Napkins?
Hawaiian?
Come
Okay. Boy, she's reading your mind.
Thank you.
Don't say hi, Mom.
It's not.
It's okay.
You don't have it on us.
He does, though.
Oh, no.
I know.
Glad to meet you. Yeah, we're
It's gonna get this crowd.
Yeah.
Cowlitz crowd. Going up the shelf.
Am I blocking you? Oh, sorry.
moving it on her.
There.
I'm not going to that one either. I just wanted to see the first one.
I'm here to support the Cowlitz tribe and to listen.
Yes.
It's just, you know, you cover something for so long.
Glad to be
you're
here.
just curious.
They're not willing to at this point. But as long as staying, and I went up and I talked to George.
I'm George Cabane, Acting Deputy Assistant Secretary for Policy and Economic Development at the Department of Interior. We want to welcome you all tonight to our public session on the Cowlitz proposed application to take land into trust for gaming. Before I start, I want to mention that I understand that there are over 100 people outside in the hallway who cannot get in. And I want everybody to know that we will have another session tomorrow at 7 o'clock at Fort Vancouver High School. So if some of you can come to the session tomorrow and would like to give your space to some of the people out there who cannot make it, then consider doing that, because our interest and our intent is to have everyone who is here be able to listen and learn and participate in the process, as well as asking questions. Anyway, with that, we'll begin. I'll begin by introducing our PowerPoint presentation.
Thanks, George. Hi, folks. Well, thanks so much for coming tonight. We really appreciate it, because we basically need your help. I have been led to believe that there's one or two of you in the room that would be supportive of having a casino in Cowlitz County here. Okay, this sounds like it's going to be a fun time tonight. And then I've heard there's one or two of you in here that don't think we ought to have a casino in Clark County. Okay, let's, if we can try to behave ourselves, that would be helpful. For the folks that are being disruptive, it would be helpful if we could be patient and respectful to everybody's position. Because the first thing I wanted to announce for all of you is that in the end, this ends up being my decision at the Department of Interior. In my role as Associate Deputy Secretary of the Department, I have delegated authority and responsibilities for making these kinds of decisions for the department. And in the end, it'll be my decision whether or not we take this land into trust on behalf of the Cowlitz tribe. And I wanted everybody to know that tonight and tomorrow night is not a decision time, that the decision will be a good year from now. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that we're as informed as we can be about what the positions of people are, to take a look at the issue, to make sure that we're considering all the things that we ought to consider, and that clearly everybody understands before we get started that this is not a voting meeting. So it really doesn't matter to me how many people say I'm for it or how many people say I'm against it, because it's way too early in the process to worry about that. What we have in the process, and George is going to go over that very specifically, is we're looking at a NEPA process right now, that's National Environmental Policy Act, where we take a look at the decision and all the ramifications of the decision and evaluate those, so that policymakers like myself can be fully informed before we make a decision on the issue. So tonight is not a voting meeting, and we don't really need to have I'm for it or I'm against it at this meeting. What we are looking for is help from you folks. And the help is, if you have comments that you think we ought to consider beyond I'm for it or I'm against it, those are the things that we need from the group. Is We should be considering traffic implications, social implications, benefits to the economy base, tax implications. So if there are things that you want us as policymakers to make decisions on or to consider in this process, it would be helpful if you let us know what those things are. We have a big group, and I'm told a lot of people would like to comment. And I would like to suggest, in courtesy to everybody, we've asked people to let us know if they want to make a comment. And George is going to go through the process of how we'll select people to comment. We have another meeting tomorrow, so if you don't get to do it tonight and you have an interest in making comments, you can do it tomorrow. We also have a process for you to let us know otherwise if you can't make comments here. We're also here to answer questions. There's a process that we have to go through in order to evaluate whether or not to take this property into trust, and in so also making then a decision about whether we would permit gaming on it. So one of the things that we want to accomplish as an objective of this meeting is to give everybody an opportunity to ask questions about the process so everybody knows how we go about doing the things that we do, what things we look at, the relative time frames of the process. So if you have questions about that, you want to know what we're doing and why we do it, this is a good opportunity to do so. Gail Norton, she's my boss, and requested that the Department of Interior hold these meetings to ensure that everyone, regardless of your viewpoint, is approaching the important decision with the same facts and information in hand and understandable for everybody. And I want to thank the Congressman for his steadfast leadership and commitment to ensure people from the Department of Interior who can provide information and answer your questions and hear your comments firsthand, so that as we go through the process of say yes, we would accept the property in trust, and there's a set of consequences and benefits that go with that, or no, we won't accept the property in trust, and that we're as fully informed as we can be, and that we try to answer your questions as well as we can answer them. So I would ask at the outset, please be patient. Let's give everybody an opportunity to get their say in, that we're going to call on people to come up and make comments, try to be crisp, try to be patient, and let's all try to get along tonight, okay?
Are decisions that we're not going to be participating in. The NIGC, the National Indian Gaming Commission, and the Department of Interior have roles in gaming, but those roles and responsibilities are different. And whereas the NIGC doesn't have any role in recognizing a tribe, it doesn't have any role in deciding whether to acquire land into trust, whether to recognize a tribe, whether to proclaim the land as a reservation. But if a tribe does decide that it wants to game, then it must comply with the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, and that's where we come in. And so one of those prerequisites, one of the requirements for gaming on trust lands is that a tribe must have a tribal ordinance. And so in March in 2005, the Cowlitz tribe did submit an ordinance for gaming. And as a matter of fact, it submitted it, it revised it, withdrew it, did that a couple of times, and that's not uncommon. You know, as we work with the tribe and we say, okay, we see a problem with this and this, that they might withdraw it. The Clark County property, the Lewis property, as Indian lands, if it is acquired into trust, and that doesn't usually happen, and so put us in a position where the NIGC had to look at that particular question, even though the Secretary had not yet acted on the trust acquisition. So our role wasn't to recommend or determine whether the land should be acquired into trust. That's something the Secretary does. That is completely within her prerogative. Was a legal exception. We were writing a legal opinion on whether or not the tribe would fall within the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act exception, the restored lands exception. And to do that, we did send a letter to the attorney. Restored tribes, how you determine that a tribe is restored is you look to see, were they recognized at one point? In this case, this is a tribe that had negotiated with the United States over a treaty. There was no treaty ever entered into, but it's a good indicator that they were recognized at one point. There are several other factors along those lines. Then over a very long period of years, there wasn't any communications or government-to-government relationship anymore between the Cowlitz and the federal government, and so there was this period of non-recognition. Then later on, the Cowlitz tribe went through the federal acknowledgement process, and it's that record that we relied primarily on to make a determination that this tribe is a restored tribe. Then, once we'd concluded that it was a restored tribe, we looked at the restoration of lands, whether the lands were restored. And that restoration, when you determine it, you look at a variety of things, at historical relationship to the land, modern day relationship to the land, whether the tribe was seeking to game on lands that it had acquired the day after it was recognized, or 100 years after it was recognized. And we looked at whether or not it had other trust lands, and whether the lands were close to where the tribe was. And when we looked at those factors, when we put them all together and we weighed them, we concluded that these were restored lands. And so that was kind of the process of how we went through it. And it was adopted by the chairman of the NIGC to decide whether or not to approve an ordinance.
But the process that we've gone through tonight has pretty much answered the process of what we have to go through. And I am going to read then a comment, and this is an email that I sent to Mr. Cason along with several other people, and I think it's appropriate, at least in this situation. In a news bulletin dated January 3rd, 2002, from the Department of the Interior, the following was noted. Washington, D.C. Interior Assistant Secretary, Indian Affairs, Neil A. McCallum, today announced his approval of the reconsidered final determination in favor of federal acknowledgments for the Cowlitz Indian Tribe of Washington. The reconsidered final determination, which McCallum signed in December 31st, 2001, affirms the final determination signed by his predecessor, Assistant Secretary Indian Affairs Kevin Gover, on February 14, 2000, acknowledging the Cowlitz Indian Tribe exists as an Indian tribe within the meaning of federal law. Also to be noted in that bulletin is the following, and my apologies if I don't pronounce some of these names correctly. The Cowlitz Indian Tribe is an amalgamated tribe descended from two historically amalgamated bands of Cowlitz, the Salish-speaking Lower Cowlitz Indians and the Safaton-speaking Upper Cowlitz Patidnapan Indians. Cowlitz Indian Tribe villages range to a distance of 60 miles from the source to the mouth of the Cowlitz River, with an important center at the well-known landmark of the Cowlitz Indian Mission. As noted above, the traditional Indian tribal villages of the Cowlitz were not in present-day Clark County. In 1876, my great-grandfather, William Healy Dow, put his name on it, and this is in quotes, map showing the distribution of the Indian tribes of Washington Territory.
It's very important that you do try to be patient, let people talk, let them answer your questions. You know, that's the only way to run a meeting that's this many people like this. So, you know, keep your applause down or your comments, you know, let them answer the questions. I got
Thanks, John.
4 basic points that I want to make. Okay. Thank you. First point is the issue of, you know, the development. Clark County is no longer pristine. I've been here 25 years. I worked on growth management. So this is not pristine. This county opened its doors wide to development from Colorado, California, every state the developers came here to develop. In the long-range Clark County plan, that whole corridor is in the plan to be developed, industrialized and developed, whether you like it or not. That is in the long-range plan. The state of Washington and Oregon opened their doors to gambling. I do not gamble personally. I've never bought a lottery ticket. But they opened the doors to gambling. That was their problem, opening the door. They can't put the worms back in the can. It's not fair. The issue of the Indians being here and being in Clark County is no different than saying the Cherokee Nation's homeland is in Oklahoma Dust Bowl because that's where the United States government marched them to steal their lands in Georgia and the Carolinas. The Cowlitz belong here. The final issue, and this is one that everybody should be familiar with, is that all we hear from Washington, that this nation is based on the rule of law, and the rule of law is critical. Has the Cowlitz Nation followed the rule of law? They have followed the rule of law. And my thing to you right now is because there's a push to change the rule of law to benefit other parties that are opposed to the Indians. The rule of law must stand firm. And it must be followed. That's it. Thank you, John.
I do have one sort of generic question to the commission here. I know that you get many proposals for Indian gaming. What is your ratio of approval to disapproval? I'd just like to know that this process does have some losers and not all winners. I sometimes get the sense that once the proposals are made, they usually go through. It's like a slam dunk. But are there proposals that you do turn down? George?
Yes, the answer to that is yes.
I had a quick question. We all know that there's contributors to all the opposers of the Cowlitz tribe. I have a brief reply to the lady about this doesn't concern anybody that doesn't live here. It concerns all the people that were here before 1492. My question was, if anybody on the panel could help us get a list of all the contributors of the people that are opposing the tribe, so we can consider the source when we're fighting this opposition.
It appears to me like the tribe has spent a tremendous amount of effort in trying to mitigate with various aspects of the community. Do you take that into consideration in your decision process?
Yes.
That's all I need. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Philip Haryu. Was born and raised in Clark County, Washington. I now live in Olympia, Washington. I'm a member of the Cowlitz Tribal Council. I want to first thank the members of the panel here. I know it's a difficult, long flight from Washington, D.C. to get here for many of you. I'd ask that the members of the Department of the Interior please thank Secretary Norton for allowing you to come out here. Also, Chairman Hogan from the National Indian Gaming Commission for allowing his staff to come out here and take time for this important meeting. I've always been a strong advocate of getting the facts out and allowing the citizens to hear from the federal officials, the tribe, and everyone about this process. I want to state, again, my thanks for coming out here. Also, I would also, when you go back to Washington, D.C., please remind Congressman Baird that this is the second trip for Mr. Skabeen out here to help educate the people in Clark County, and I think the Department of Interior has gone out of their way to help educate everyone here. I'd also just want to make a brief comment and a question. Having read the Restored Lands opinion, I want to thank Ms. Coleman and Chairman Hogan for that opinion. If you're a lawyer or if you're not a lawyer, if you read that, it's a well-reasoned, well-documented, factual opinion, and I compliment the National Indian Gaming Commission for giving that opinion. I'd also ask the Department of Interior to look very closely at it because it is well-written, well-done, and very factual. I know there are a lot of lawyers back in Washington, D.C., and everyone will read it, and we'll have a fair shake on this. I just want to say that it's a matter of timing for everyone. Please remember the Cowlitz in 1855 when we were denied a reservation and a treaty with the federal government. It's been a long time for the Cowlitz people. The Cowlitz people have been patient, We've followed the rules. We've submitted the proper applications. We're doing a full environmental impact statement. So you can understand some of the frustration for the Cowlitz people here. We want to do what's right. We want to follow the law, and we only ask that the federal agencies involved continue to follow the law and to help the Cowlitz and all the people of Clark County. I would submit to you there is a very vocal, well-funded minority of people in this county that are opposing the tribe, but I'd also submit to you that if you go out in this community, I'm proud of Clark County and the people. The majority of people in this county are fair, reasonable, and I think support the Cowlitz in this effort, and I'd ask you to take that in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's the Hudson's Bay Company spelling of an old traditional name. In the 1850s, Uncle Atwin Stockham was appointed chief of the Cowlitz tribe by Ulysses S. Grant. He started the fight for recognition that we finished after 150 years. We have been working for this for one heck of a long time. These people here need to look at Agent William Tappan's report that recommended Chalacha, the prairie, as a site for a reservation. If that reservation were as tiny as 100 square miles, the casino would be on or adjoining that reservation. Thank you.